to the outside. He can't get there. Kevin King is going to win the Barbizzo FTF Cup Series.
Into the lead. Bud gets wrecked in front of the pack. He saves it. 3-4 wide as they come to the white flag.
Here comes Vargas down on the 8th. They are 5 wide. Ian Plash will win it at the line. Is this package? Oh, there goes Jordan Lopez Jr. That's your race leader. Caution flag is out.
Still no one willing to give up as they are going to be dead even off of the first chicane.
Oh, he saves it. What's going to happen here? Here comes the canvas.
Get your foot there. He's got it. He's got it. Get there. No.
Canvas is going to win.
Hello and welcome back to the modernracingprince.com FTF1 series. Today we get ourselves ready to go for a quick sprint race here at Watkins Glen International. I'm Josh Mendoza, joined by Joey Atterbury here for the FTF1 series. And Joey, you've raced here before. What do you have to say about this track?
Yes, I have plenty of experience here at Watkins Glen. It's one of my favorite racetracks in all of North America, nestled in upstate New York, kind of in wine country up there. It's a flowing track that goes up and down through the hills here. And one thing that's interesting today, we're going to see a couple versions of Watkins Glen, starting off with the extremely fast old layout, no bus stop, no boot.
Yeah, this is going to be a quick sprint race for sure. And one of those circuits that we're not too used to seeing. No bus stop, no boot. Like you said, it very much feels like an oval race in a lot of ways. And with that said, it's important to note that this sprint race will be treated like an oval race, with cautions being thrown by race control and all of that fun fashion that's involved with that. As we start our first pace lap here, it's going to be a quick race for sure, 25 laps or 30 minutes, whichever comes first. And we're going to get rolling here. We got one pace lap.
They're rolling off of the grid right now, and here is that starting lineup. And right on pole, we got Blake Reynolds and Jake Poulin joining him on the front row. Corey Vervinkt and Ryan Naraki in row number 2. Connor Harrington, Brandon Hawken, row number 3. Jamie Ritchie Price and Ryan Pandicio in row number 4. Brian Sabelski and Robert Lowry rounding out your top 10.
Row number 6 is going to be Ben Goyette and Ryan Vargas. Hey, look at that. I'm sure he has experience here. Justin Malillo, Nicholas Pressey, Adam Cantwell, and BB Ruiz. Matthew Brewer, Jonathan D. Goke, Roger Saucier, and Kevin McAdams.
Last 2 competitors out here tonight is going to be Dylan Connolly and Michael Deach.
And it is important to note that Dylan Connolly is not on track at the moment. Seems to have lost some sort of connection or power or some sort of issue that is resulting in him not being in the session at this time. So will not be scored for the time being in the sprint races. We already got one wrecking. Oh, that's unfortunate. That looks like that was BB Ruiz, unfortunately involved in an early incident. I think just might have gotten the power down a little bit too quick. We haven't even gotten a green flag. We already got action.
No, a little bit surprising. And here's a car without a nose back here. So already you called it action before the green flag. I think my only thing is, got to remember, 20,000 RPM and cold tires. It's not always a combo that goes well together.
Yeah, he's been given an EOL penalty. I believe just the smartest maneuver would be to just immediately pull it down pit road, get some service done to that vehicle. Important to note, they do not have any fast repairs in this sprint race. So not going to be able to get that vehicle repaired through an immediate method that they might otherwise be able to do so. So we'll see what happens here as the green flag flies for the sprint race here at Watkins Glen. And BB Ruiz stays out, is going to race without a nose.
Yeah, looks like Ryan in the number 6 car with a really good jump. A couple cars. Oh, no, he loses it on corner exit. We've already got a wreck in front of the field. Thankfully, everybody is able to avoid.
Oh, man. Oh, that got really tight there. We got one car coming out, and they're going to get it around. Unfortunately for Ryan Naraki, an early spin is going to set him on the back foot during this sprint race.
Yeah, we stay green flag. It looks like Reynolds over Hawken Vervinkt is your top three, but you look at all the cars, they're really starting to use up that track exit, and I think it's going to be the name of the game all race. It's a draft party.
Yeah, this is such a quick layout here, and these cars go so quick. You're absolutely right. Drafting is going to play a massive part in maneuvers as we're looking almost 3 wide, but Ryan Vargas thinks better of it. They're going to go side by side through the first turn, and we got one loose right in front of Ryan Vargas. That is Ryan Pandicio.
Yeah, another car. Oh, and a third comes in as well. That was a much heavier impact. I believe that's Adam Cantwell that hit the inside barrier, and we've got our first yellow flag of the race.
I feel like that first turn has been already the most difficult turn. Took out 3 cars already. Only took out Adam Cantwell, like officially took him out, but realistically speaking, that is one of those corners that's going to be very difficult. It's already proving difficult for some of the fastest drivers already out there.
And to speak about turn 1 here, it's a downhill corner. You get all the compression right at the apex. And then you also deal with the exit. You're most of the time abusing those exit curbs, running up over them, and always the car doesn't like that, so it unsettles it. And this is what happened on the pace lap. This is Ruiz. It looks like just a simple case of wheel spin trying to get the thing warmed up, and unfortunately it spun him around into the wall.
Yeah, unfortunately for him, that's going to take them out of the race. And
that was our leader, our pole sitter there.
Wow.
Thankfully, everybody was able to avoid, and I think the next one is going to be very similar to that turn 1 incident from our leader. I bet you it's going to happen here on exit. Probably going to see the cars get through. And yeah, once again, just standing on the throttle. You're going to have to be very careful coming out of turn 1 today.
Oh, that was a hard hit right there. And just going into turn 1, even if you know that you'll be safe, you just got to make sure that you got to be careful going into turn number 1.
Also, look at the exit. That was what I was talking about right there. Is sometimes it's not even the wheel spin, but if you place your car all the way up on that curb, you can actually bottom out, and that's worse than the wheel spin. Well,
I'm looking back. Robert Lowry pulled off track, and I was trying to figure out exactly why. I didn't see anything immediately, but it looks like Ben Goyette and Robert Lowry made contact with each other, and that forced Robert Lowry back into the pits with a meatball flag. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, I'm also seeing, I think Jake Poulin also has a black flag going on. So I think a few things going on during this wreck. This is Blake Reynolds. He was one of our leaders coming down pit road here.
Looking very lonely for the leaders right now. Blake Reynolds by himself, the only one of the, I would say, the lead pack that came down to get pit service. Everyone behind, however, it's a large group of drivers behind him that are coming down pit road to get service. Here you can see what happened to Lowry. That happened to, I think, a little bit before this. It was coming up the hill that I saw the issues, but you can see him pull off right here. That's, I imagine, right when he got the meatball flag. But yeah, this will show you exactly what happened. You can see them slowing down, and you're gonna see a green car come out of nowhere on the left-hand side. That's all it took.
To kind of explain what happened there is, it's an accordion effect. The pace car is up there going to slow speed, but the back of the pack, they're traveling much faster to catch that pace car, and sometimes you catch them at a much more rapid pace than you expect. Combine that up over the hill, and not many visual cues.
Yeah, and as we're pacing under here, we'll be right back. Gonna let this caution flag work its way through, and we'll take some messages in the meantime. Welcome back to the ModernRacingPrince.com FTF1 series. We continue pacing, 1 to go here as we're working our way down the very fast backstretch at what feels like a very slow 60 miles per hour. A couple of notes. Looks like BB Ruiz, Robert Lowry, as well as Adam Cantwell have all withdrawn from this sprint race. I feel like we should expect them for the feature race still, but maybe they're done for the evening.
I also see the number 6 of Ryan Naraki and then the number 2 of Ryan Pandicio also still in pit lane, probably dealing with the damage from those wrecks earlier. They are officially 1 lap down, probably going to go a 2nd lap down here once we go green flag.
And it looks like Michael Deach unfortunately just had some sort of internet issue, so we're dropping like flies out here. Hopefully we have a good field towards the end of this race so we can have an awesome finish. But it looks like at the moment Corey Vervenk is letting the pace car pull away to manage this restart here. Pace car should be ducking down to pit road any second. Corey has launched off and pace car pulls down just in time to get out of the way. We're green flag racing back at Watkins Glen.
Nice jump from the 3rd place of Brandon Hawk, and he decides not to make a move. Single file really for the first top 5, top 10 cars through turn 1. Really well mannered.
Oh, we got one around Matthew Brewer. He sent it into turn 1, almost got into the back of Blake Reynolds. Brewer's going to get it going, but we got an awesome battle for the lead. We're not going to take our eyes away from it for the meantime. We'll get a replay later.
Hawkins thought about poking it up through the middle, 3 wide, but Vervinkt hangs tough on the outside. It's Connor Harrington, though, sneaking his way up to the lead.
Connor Harrington getting a good run through that last turn, but isn't going to be able to hold on to it long. Hawkins on the outside trying to continue to make it go fast. He goes wide, unfortunately loses a little bit of time to Harrington.
You see how much of a momentum track it really is with these Dallara IRO1 cars. I have a feeling it's just going to be a non-stop mental game out here of who can lead the draft, who can slingshot around.
Yeah, it is all momentum. Like you said, you've raced here before. Tell me, just how much is it all about flow and getting into just a rhythm each and every single lap?
It really is. I've never raced this specific configuration. I've always raced full course with the boot and the bus stop. But, I mean, this specific one, I think the lowest we're going to see in terms of speeds is turn 1, which I still think is above 100 miles an hour in these specific cars. So it's all going to be about getting the momentum yourself, starting to get into the groove and just clicking off the laps. But remember, never slow down.
That's wild. We'll go into turn number 1 here, see if anyone loses it. Not this time. And as you were saying, the lowest speed I saw through turn number 1 there was about 110 miles per hour. So a very fast turn number 1. I don't think I could name another car that goes that fast through turn number 1 here at Watkins Glen.
Well, you're right, because you're talking impressive amounts of downforces. We see Brandon Hawkins use the slipstream, try to go around the outside. Connor Harrington actually a little bit wiggly underneath him, but yeah, these specific cars, I mean, monster downforce, they hardly slow down anywhere.
Yeah, we'll see Connor Harrington try to sneak to the outside, but Brandon Hawkins is able to make the pass work going down the front stretch, and the draft is going to allow Harrington to close up a little bit. Is he going to be able to make a move into turn number 1 here? Not this time. He thinks, I'm going to save that for another place on the track. Oh, Hawkins almost loses it. That's going to give Harrington the opportunity to go side by side through the S's. And ooh, this gets really sketched through here, side by side racing, but they're going to make it work.
I'm curious, are they going to stay side by side? Because it typically isn't the fast way around. If you want to try to pass somebody, you want to tuck into that slipstream. But I have a feeling that we're just starting to see the layers unfold out of this race. We're starting to see where these slingshots are going to happen.
Connor Harrington is able to make a move through that last straightaway, but is he going to be able to hold on to it? Hawkins not able to get the best last corner there as they go down the straightaway. Man, that draft is powerful. Every time I think they're going to be able to pull away, they get pulled right back in with the draft, and Hawkins closes in. And we're going to go ahead and get a replay here very shortly. This is on that restart right here. You see Brewer. He almost runs into the back of Reynolds. and then just gets quick on the throttle, loses it, and hits that wall.
Very similar to what we saw earlier in the race from several of the other competitors, but thankfully these cars are built pretty tough. I think that was a square enough hit that he's back out there on the racetrack.
Unfortunately,
no.
he might have withdrawn, so maybe
just recently.
That's unfortunate for Brewer. It looked like he was going to be able to get it rolling, but is going to withdraw and focuses on the feature race instead.
We do have that feature race still to go, and curious to see how the different flow is going to be, because this one is all about wringing the neck out of this car, 20,000 RPM, and never slow it down. But when you add the bus stop in the boot, it certainly takes a different shape.
Yeah, remember, 1st through 8th are the positions that pay 10 points to 1st and 1 to 8. So that is something to keep in mind as we see them battling hard right now on screen. That's Corey Vervenk and Jamie Ritchie Price. You know, shout out to Jamie Ritchie Price. He had a video just recently of his Firecracker 400 run, and that was one of the most entertaining videos I've seen in a long time.
Well, anytime you get a big win like that, you got to celebrate in style. And, you know, I'd still be happy no matter what race I'm winning.
Yeah, for sure. As we see, looks like Corey Vervenk is going to be able to make his way around Jamie Ritchie Price. And right now, that battle for 3rd place, it looks like, is might calm down for just a little bit, but Hawken and Harrington, we got one around in turn number 1. Trying to figure out who that one is. Oh, Justin Molillo is very heated over the radio.
The other thing that I'm listening about, I believe this is Nicholas Pressey with the incident down here into turn number 1. Oh, yeah, looks like a little bit of a hip check and a hard wall hit resulting.
I can understand the frustrations there. It is a sprint race. Might just take them out of the points for the rest of the race. They are plenty of seconds back right now, at least 4 seconds back from the ability to get any points. Goke is the last one on the ticker that is going to get points at the present time. But we see them go up the hill right here. And there looks like everyone's kind of figured out where they want to run for the time being. Maybe click off a couple of laps. 13 laps to go here at Watkins Glen.
Starting to see a little bit of a 2-car breakaway between these front 2 of Harrington and Hawken. Then another pair of Ritchie Price and Vervinkt. And I've noticed that Corey back here, the car following the red car, he's been all sorts of aggressive, trying to get around Jamie Ritchie Price, but hasn't been able to figure out a way to stay in front of him.
Yeah, this is it's a back and forth. A draft definitely keeps you a part of it. It's almost like having DRS on a Formula One car. If you're like within that 1 second barrier there, you're going to be able to pretty much stay in touch with the car ahead, even if they're a quicker vehicle. Wow, look at that. Look how much that closes in right there. He's going to be able to make a pass. Or not, maybe, we'll see.
And I'm curious. I think that these cars are running up against the top speed when they're by themselves in the air. Now, when you get to follow, you get that slipstream, you get the incredibly powerful tow, and we're seeing speeds of over 200 miles an hour in the slipstream. But when that car pulls out, it falls right back down to about 195 miles an hour. So I think that's the other thing these competitors are dealing with, is managing when you use that slipstream.
Yeah, and Corey Vervenk got a great run off the last exit, but that's all going to be evaporated as the draft is going to pull Jamie Ritchie Price right back into it. Oh my goodness gracious, this is a fierce battle right now for 3rd place.
It seems it's just the speeds are impressive, I gotta say, because they're about 193 miles an hour side by side down the straightaway. It almost seems like they could reach out and give each other a high five.
Wow. Got very close in that last corner. Thought for a second there they might touch. Little side by side behind him. That was Ryan Vargas and Blake Reynolds. Blake Reynolds is going to get the position, but we're going to continue to focus on this battle right here.
Let's see when Corey decides to go and use the slipstream. You see him already pulling out to the inside. And as soon as he does that, he gets into that clean air and his run really stalls out. Now, I'm curious, is he doing this just to stay behind Jamie Ritchie Price and use it on the last lap? Or does he maybe feel like he's got a little bit more pace in the car? Because if you notice, that pack of three, Vargas, Sabelski, and Reynolds, they're all kind of starting to close in a little bit.
Yeah, it's giving them an opportunity to catch back up. Reynolds is one of the quicker drivers that on the service, so I feel like if anyone's going to be able to make up some time, I think Reynolds would be the one that I'd be keeping my eye on. See them going out wide through turn number 1. I don't know if that's quicker. Is that one of those situations where just exceeding the track limits is actually quicker?
It depends. Turn number 1 is all about the exit. So technically, the more apex speed you can carry through turn 1, the more exit speed you can also have. So a lot of times you'll see drivers start to abuse those track limits. And hey, if there's pavement, they're going to use it.
That's very true. We've heard a lot about it during the Formula 1 season this year so far. Just if there's pavement, a driver will use it. So we'll keep an eye into turn number 1, see if that's an option to try and make up a little bit of time. As we see, Hawkins has made his way around Harrington. Somehow I feel like that's not going to be the end of that battle.
I don't think so. I think the bigger thing that I noticed here is we're going to get side by side again for the race lead. A little bit of fuel save, a little bit of patience out of Harrington right here. But Corey Vervinkt was finally able to get around the number 15 of Jamie Ritchie Price. I expect Jamie to stay in the slipstream, but I wonder if Corey can hang on to that third place position.
Right now, we'll keep an eye on that battle. We'll let you know if it starts to heat up again. But right now, we got a battle for the lead, potentially between Harrington and Hawkins. Hawkins just got a great exit, but it really doesn't matter with the speeds that they're going at in the draft. It's going to be able to bring Harrington right back in. You really need a mistake from the car behind in order to pull away and get them outside of your draft. And that is not something that I expect between Harrington and Hawkins.
I don't think so, and if they do make a mistake, they're going to get swallowed up really quickly by the pack right behind them as well. Little bit of patience out of the front two, still just kind of logging laps, 7 laps to go. I noticed a little bit further back, though, Jamie Ritchie Price, Corey Vervinkt, that battle far from over. Looks like Ritchie Price back around to third place.
Yeah, that was all in the backstretch that Ritchie Price was able to catch up to Vervinkt and make that maneuver. And then no issues. Oh my goodness, as Ritchie Price goes a little wide there, he's going to be able to block off any move for the time being. Oh, and Vervinkt into the wall. I don't think you saw it right there, but he just barely hit the wall on a corner exit right now. I don't think that's going to cause any issues. No issues so far. He doesn't have a meatball flag. Oh, maybe not. He is dropping back pretty far. There might be issues on that vehicle.
Oh, that's going to be tough if he's got damage inside here. I'm going to take a look. It looks like his steering wheel is tracking straight, and his top speed, that's about 198 miles an hour. So I have seen him hit over 200. If he's got damage, it would be a small amount of damage. Important
note, Goyette got a meatball flag not too long ago on lap 19. That was the last lap. And unfortunately, fortunately, there was only a 58-second pit stop, but he wrecked off of the turn 1 exit, so it's a familiar wreck. Got it sorted, I believe. He is withdrawn from the race, though.
Yeah, it looked very, very similar to all of the other wrecks that we saw in turn 1. Just a little bit of wheel spin, and unfortunately, Ben Goyette, driver of the number 4, ended up in the wall, but this is still the battle here for the third place position and the final step on the podium.
Yeah, this is a opportunity to bring home, I think, 6 points here. Yeah, 6 points for third. That's an important points grab, especially if you're in that mid-battle points or midfield points battle. Being able to put 6 points to your name is something that would be very important. And I know that, any points to your name is good. Getting 6 of them would be great.
You mentioned that final turn and the wall that Corey Vervinkt was getting familiar with. Well, Blake Reynolds just got very familiar with it, but it doesn't seem to slow him down at all. Look, this battle for the 2, it's now going to enjoy Blake Reynolds coming to the party, and he's going to bring Ryan Vargas along with him as well.
Oh man, a 4-car battle for 3rd place in the last spot on the podium. 4 laps to go. This is going to be interesting to see what happens, but enough racing side by side, and they've inevitably got more vehicles involved. Vargas a little bit further back than Reynolds, so Vargas may be joining a little bit later, but it is going to get crazy as we got 3 cars battling for that last position and more hitting to the wall. I guess they figured out they're going to use up every bit of concrete that they can.
It's just oh yeah, a little bit of a hip check there into turn 1 given to Corey Vervinkt. That's going to open the door for Blake Reynolds. Also, check this out, Ryan Vargas is going to have a monster run.
Wow, 4 cars. I thought it would take a little bit longer for Vargas to join in, but we got 4 cars all racing for the last spot on the podium at 6 points.
It's 2 by 2 like a pace lap at 195 miles an hour. Who's going to stand on the podium and spray the champagne?
This is going to get really intense right now. 3 laps to go as we see 4-car battle for 3rd place. Don't worry about that lead. It's not heated up. This is the battle on track to be keeping your eyes on.
Corey Vervinkt with a big rump of Ryan Vargas. Is he going to take it 3 wide? Yes. He looks all the way down to the inside, backs out of it. Now Vervinkt and Vargas lock up in 1.
Oh, man. Oh, Vargas almost loses it, but he gets it underneath him. I think that'll end Vargas's chance to get 3rd place. Well, we'll see. 2 laps to go. Vervinkt also very far back. It looks like it's between Reynolds and Richie Price at this time.
Yeah, have to keep an eye on both of the pairs of battles, but if it's going to come down to a lead swap, it's going to come down to the final lap. Here we go, Hawken with the run to the outside, already past him.
Look at that. Hawken is able to make that move and is now out in front, but will Harrington be able to make that move? It's now a heated battle. No more hanging out. It's going to be whoever can get to the line first as Reynolds gets hit by Richie Price. Reynolds has been absolutely destroyed. His race is over, and that was all in the last corner.
Oh, so unfortunate for Blake Reynolds there. Had a tremendous run, but here we go. Side by side down the straightaway for the final time.
Harrington on the outside or the left side. Hawken on the inside or the right side. Who knows? Feels like an oval, but it races like a road course.
It does. Hawken with a slight edge. I feel like Hawken might actually have just a nose ahead and the advantage right here.
If I'm Harrington, I'd be dropping back. Actually, never mind. Harrington going to take the lead. This is going to give, I think, the advantage to Hawken here, but will it be enough? No. Harrington is going to win the sprint race by 4/100ths of a second. That is an absolute barn burner.
Oh my goodness, and Jamie Richie Price comes home 3rd. That final step on the podium. Corey Vervinkt chasing him only a 1/4 of a second behind.
Whew. Finally catch our breath after a wild race. Here's the replay where Reynolds gets wrecked, and it is unfortunate. Just Richie Price and Reynolds just make slight contact. That puts Reynolds offline and just not able to drive, and his race is done from there on out.
And you gotta feel for Reynolds because he had closed that gap. You know, remember there was the slipstream gap. He had put in those tough laps and was fighting for the podium, just all to have it unravel with 1 lap to go.
And here we go. You see, those are the results. Connor Harrington beats out Brandon Hawken with a last lap pass. I don't even know who was actually leading that last lap, so it could have just been a normal two-place finish, but that was incredible. Hawken 2nd place. Jamie Richie Price, Corey Vervinkt, Ryan Vargas, Brian Sabelski, Jonathan Goke, and look at that, Justin Malillo able to finally get his way back up and get into the points after being frustrated very early on. Jake Poulin and Blake Reynolds. Blake Reynolds was looking for that 3rd place and was looking strong, but unfortunately gets caught up. Our pole sitter, unfortunately, on the outside of the points looking in.
And then Ben Goyette, unfortunately, handful of laps down. Ryan Pandisio actually did get back out on the racetrack and took the checkered flag, also a handful of laps down. And then the rest on the screen here, unfortunately, DNFs.
That's a tough race right there, but I'd rather get the DNF in the sprint race rather then in the feature race. And we're going to go ahead and step aside for a little bit, get some interviews, and get ready to go feature racing here very shortly.
I won't let it die. I can feel you when you're not around. When the night gets cold, we won't be alone.
This is how we roll, man. This is how we rock. This is how we win. This is how we roll, man. This is how we rock. This is how we win. This is how we roll, man. This is how we rock. This is how we win. This is how we roll, man. This is how we rock. This is how we win. This is how we win, man. This is how we rock. This is how we win. This is how we roll, man. This is how we rock. This is how we win. This is how we roll, man. This is how we rock. This is how we win. This is how we roll, man. This is how we rock.
Welcome back to the ModernRacingPrince.com FTF1 series as we are finishing up qualifying here. It is a heated battle for the pole right now. I thought Hawkins was going to walk away with it, but Connor Harrington just set a very quick lap time, the only driver currently in the 1 minute and 13-second bracket. And we were discussing over the break the difficulties of this course and just how difficult it can be. We've already seen in qualifying several issues exiting the boot. Joey, you want to touch on that a little bit?
Well, this racetrack, it's not the same one that we just had in the sprint race. What we're going to be seeing is the boot section. I know that Brandon Hawkins is playing around a little bit here, but this is the section of the racetrack we were talking about. This is coming up out of the boot, rejoining on the back straightaway that we previously used. So the racetrack a little bit different than we just saw in the sprint, and I feel like the speeds, they're still extremely high around this place. The momentum, it's still needed. The driver still has to get into the groove, but I feel like just much more challenges because the amount of corners they're going to have to face now.
Yeah, that boot is definitely going to throw a boot into the wrench or whatever you want to call it of this whole entire race. They're going to have a difficult time staying as close together. It's going to give more opportunities for that lead driver to get a little bit more extended out, but Harrington and Hawkins has been the battle of qualifying right now, as Harrington is out setting laps and Hawkins is currently in the pits. I do not think Hawkins is going to try to set another lap, so Harrington out here just trying to cover any additional laps. But as we were saying, slightly different track. We see one spinning around right there, gonna block the track, and another one spinning right there. That is a great demonstration of the difficulty of exiting the boot.
And it's known as turn 9 in this specific configuration. But coming up out of the boot, you're dealing with over the crest. It almost looks like there's rain or oil on the track, but you're dealing with over the crest, so the car is very light. You're dealing with an extremely responsive V10 engine making 900 horsepower, and you just have to be very, very gentle on the throttle.
Yeah, and just a couple of quick notes before we watch these last two cars set their final lap times. Two fast repairs for today's race. Now this is going to be treated just like a road course race, so no cautions like we saw in the sprint. Be two fast repairs. They will need to swap their tire compound at least once in this race, and it will be a standing start. So just a minute left on the clock before these two drivers will have to come down and finish their lap, but just a couple more seconds in reality, because these are the only two cars back out on track.
And checkered flag has flown, so as soon as they complete these timed laps, that's going to be it. I see Jamie Ritchie Price was actually on a flyer, was able to improve his lap time, but not improve his position.
And that'll sum up our qualifying here, and we'll go ahead and look at our starting grid before the standing start commences. See right there, Connor Harrington has been able to secure the pole with Brandon Hawkins on the outside. Blake Reynolds, our pole sitter for the sprint, not able to redo or repeat that pole sitting speed. Nicholas Pressey is going to start on his right-hand side. Ben Goyette, Ryan Naraki, Jonathan Goat, and Jamie Ritchie Price, Matthew Brewer, and Brian Sabelski is going to round our top 10.
And then we got a handful more here. Ryan Pandisio in 11th, Corey Vervinkt 12th, Justin Melillo 13th, Michael Deitch here in 14th place, and then Jake Poulin and Bryce Saucier back there rounding out the 14-car grid.
We're going to go ahead and get on the standing start. It is a much more condensed field compared to our sprint race. A couple of names that were in that sprint race that are not here today, is they are going to get on the grid and prepared. There is a chance for safety cars, but there will not be a pace car. It'll be a 120-mile-per-hour safety car if it is called.
I'm curious about some of the names a little bit further back in the pack. I'm looking at Corey Vervinkt, Justin Melillo. Justin came out with a top 10 in that sprint race. Remember, Corey was up there really battling for the top 3 position before having some late race issues. So I wonder if we're going to see the same sort of speed out of those two.
This is going to be interesting to watch. One final note. Brandon Hawkins, 6th place or better for Brandon Hawkins would secure that championship for the FTF1 series over Hamilton Akabueze. Hamilton has not been able to make the last 2 races, so unfortunately we had an incredible championship battle up until last week, but due to absence of Hamilton, going to result in potentially a pretty easy road for Hawken to go here unchallenged. But if he does get worse than 6, that would give the opportunity, if Hamilton showed up next week, to fight back and potentially win it if Hawken had a rough race.
I think we're just waiting for a couple more here, and lights are going to be coming on for this standing start very shortly.
Yeah, currently 4 seconds remaining on the grid, and Hawken is not on the grid at the present moment. And lights are on. Hawken has missed the grid, and lights out. Away we go. Green flag racing here at Watkins Glen, and it is a horrible start for Nicholas Pressey. He is stuck on the outside, not able to get up to speed with everyone else. And right now, as it stands, Hawken is missing from this race.
Yeah, I see one of the cars exiting pit lane here, but I believe that is Brandon Hawkins, so he is up out of the S's, while the rest of our field, Harrington versus Reynolds, side by side, going into the carousel.
It might have been a strategic play by Hawken to try and avoid any sort of the first lap clash as we go into the boot for the very first time this weekend. No issue. So actually, as I say that, one car stuck in the outside wall. That's Corey Vervank. He absolutely bent it. Is going to tow it back. He'll be able to get a faster pair, but that's still going to set him on the back foot here.
Oh, that was one of the drivers I was mentioning pre-race, and unfortunately already having issues. But I mean, you want to talk about some aggression on the racetrack? Look no further than the number 12, Brandon Hawken, already looking up the inside of Justin Melillo, starting from pit lane, already inside the top 8.
And it looks like we're able to exit the boot, turn number 9, as you were saying earlier. No issues this time by. It looks like everyone was able to get their lessons learned in qualifying. Nicholas Pressey is going to come down to pit road. Not sure what this is. This might be, actually, he has a black flag. I believe that'll be a black flag for a jump start. Not only did he have a horrible start, he somehow managed to jump it as well.
I saw that he just barely moved. It's like he put the car in gear and it just lurched forward maybe about a foot. But you're right. Black flag jumped start for Pressey.
That's unfortunate for Pressey. Had a pretty decent qualifying pace right there, as we see Blake Reynolds and Connor Harrington are exchanging positions through the carousel. Harrington going to work his way back through the top of the laces, as you were saying earlier during the break. It's a fun name for that section of the track.
Yeah, and then now we're heading down into the heel of the boot. Connor Harrington trying to outbrake Blake Reynolds, but I think Blake Reynolds has a little bit of unfinished business. If you remember in the sprint race, he was a little bit further back, was able to close in that gap, and then it all unraveled for him on the last lap.
Yeah, as we see right now, Connor Harrington is getting up to speed and is trying to use the draft to get past Blake Reynolds potentially, or this could be a strategy play by Harrington. Stay behind, save a little bit of fuel. We saw a little bit of patience between him and Hawken during the sprint race. Maybe Harrington isn't looking to try and make up any time here and rather just save a little bit of fuel for the draft.
The other thing to consider, this is the feature. It's a little bit longer, so they're going to be racing for about 30-35 minutes, and they will have to make that pit stop. So you were mentioning being a little bit patient here. He could also be saving fuel, which could possibly benefit him during that pit stop.
Keeping an eye on that right now. We see Harrington just behind Blake Reynolds. Curious to see what different tire compounds people are using. Both Blake and Harrington are on the harder tire compound. And my goodness gracious, Brandon Hawken up to P5. That is a massive start, also on the harder compound tire. So only more speed in that car available to him on a softer tire compound if he wanted to.
It's almost like he's on a different tire compound, the way he has torn his way up through the field. And You want to compare something pretty wild. Our leader, Blake Reynolds, his fastest lap, a 1:17.3. Brandon Hawken, 1:16.4, almost a full second faster.
That is wild right now as it stands. If the race were to end right here, Hawken would be your champion, but it's only lap 4. We can't call that right now. We saw so many mistakes throughout the race during the sprint race. It can happen at any moment, and it couldn't even be Hawkins' mistake. He'd just get caught up in someone else's mistake, and that would cause him to be out of this race and potentially leave the championship open for an additional round.
Well, while the two up front were going side by side down the straightaway, it must have just punched a big hole in the air because it is officially a party at the front. I think I see 6 cars now involved. 7.
That is wild, and Hawken has now officially joined that tail lead right now, and he's going to make a pass, try to get 4th place is Hawken. Right now, Richie Price is on the outside, Hawken on the inside. He's going to be able to make that pass without much of a protest from Richie Price, move Hawken to 4th place.
I think he's in a prime spot right now to get a good run out of turn 1 here. Now all he's going to do is be patient up through the hill. He's in the draft of Ben Goyette, and as soon as we get to a nice opportunity right here, he's going to use the slipstream, use this toe, try to close in that gap, and possibly outbrake going into the carousel.
Saw a car on pit road. That was Naraki. He's getting service to his vehicle at the present moment. Corey Vervenk, although he could have had a faster pair, he unfortunately has withdrawn from the race as we see them side by side as they enter the boot.
Oh, they were so close between Harrington and Reynolds, our leader. I thought that they were going to touch there, but they stayed off of each other. This is just allowing the number 6 and the number 12 to just draw ever closer.
As we see them go side by side through here, this is a really tight corner of the track. Is they going to be able to make it work? They do. Reynolds out in front for the present moment, but Harrington very much on his tailpipes trying to make a move anywhere he can.
I'm actually really surprised that we haven't seen more incidents yet here in this race. I'm knocking on wood over here after so many problems in turn 1, and then also the issues that we saw in qualifying. Our field holding it together.
Couple of drivers I want to keep my eye on: Ryan Pandicio, Bryce Saucier, and I believe that's it. Those are the only 2 drivers that are currently out on track with not the hard tire compound. Both of those drivers on the medium tire compound. Curious to see when they're going to come down to pit road, when they believe those tires have been expired and need to go and swap them, because I imagine most of these leaders are going to be swapping to that medium tire compound. We'll listen here on Hawken. Wow, look at that. He's clutching to save a little bit of fuel.
I don't blame him. Let's see if he does it around the racetrack here. Yes, he is doing it. So, what we saw out of this driver right here, he drove through the entire field. He shows that he has the fastest car out of everybody, the fastest on the racetrack, a 1:15.9 out of the driver here. What he's doing, he's letting everybody else just punch the air. He's going to use the slipstream. He's going to use the fuel save. He's going to make his pit stop shorter when it comes down to that time to stop.
Saw a question in chat asking if tires have different colors. Yes, the hard compound tires, it's just like a Formula 1 car. The hard compound tires have a white wall. Mediums are a yellow wall, and soft tires are a red wall. So as it stands right now, pretty much everyone out in front on that harder tire compound, but a little bit of tire saving, and we see Hawken just very relaxed.
Yeah, he had Richie Price coming up the back end there, and I would say the one thing that Brandon Hawkins should be aware of, I know he's in fuel save, he's plenty comfortable, is you don't necessarily want to lose touch of the draft in front of you, because that is the powerful tool that allows you that fuel save.
Yeah, that is very true. That draft is going to be what saves you the most amount of fuel. Curious to see if anyone else, once they hear that this is happening, are just going to join on this fuel save bandwagon.
I think so. I think whenever you can save fuel, in a pit stop race, you should. It might not be the coolest thing to do per se, or the fastest lap on the racetrack. However, when you see it pay dividends in that pit stop, in your pit stop, oh no, I think that was Jamie Ritchie Price
Oh, it
having
is.
problems in turn 1.
Richie Price from 5th place gets into the wall, vehicle destroyed. He's going to tow it back to pit road, and that is going to make the drive for Hawken just a little bit easier. He's not going to have that car behind trying to force him to go a little bit quicker.
Nobody in the mirror, exactly like you were saying. You can fully focus on the fuel save now, and he is the caboose on this 4-car lead pack breakaway. They've got, I'm checking, about 4.5 seconds back to Ryan Pandicio in that number 4 in 5th place.
Plenty of space from behind, and I'm listening to the other leaders, and so far I'm not hearing anyone else fuel saving like we're hearing out of Hawken. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see if, when or if that ever even starts happening. But that's kind of wild. I don't know the last time I've heard fuel saving like that on a road course here with these cars.
Well, and to try to explain it simply, what he's doing is he's using less gas compared to his rivals. That means when he stops, he has to put less gas in his tank. Well, when you stop and have to put less gas in your tank, that equals a shorter pit stop time. That means you can potentially leapfrog your competitor without even having to make the pass on the racetrack.
That's an excellent point right there. It also may allow you to go a little bit longer on these harder compound tires if you're worried more about fuel saving. That's just something that be able to keep in mind right now, is just focusing on fuel saving. Maybe he thinks his tires can last a little bit longer than the fuel run, and he might be trying to extend it and hopefully swap to maybe a soft compound tire. I don't know how long he'll be able to stay out longer than these other drivers, though, because this lap has to be inevitably just a little bit shorter once he loses, or a little bit longer once he loses draft.
And I'm also seeing some very interesting information being fed to us right here. I know that these Dallara IR01 cars are very fast and very strong. Uh-oh.
Brewer.
Yeah, this is coming up out of the boot. This is one of the areas that we thought we're going to see a lot of danger, a lot of spins, and looks like it just caught out the driver of the number 5.
Yeah, that was one spot that you were talking about being very, very loose. And we're going to go ahead and take a look at a replay right now. The car that's on pit road, Jamie Ritchie Price. See what happened here. Those rumble strips. Got to be careful of those.
You can actually high center the car on those rumble strips, and I believe that's probably what happened right there.
I mean, they don't look that tall, but when you're running a car like this, where you're basically on the ground, as you see right there, Matthew Brewer just loses it. No harm, no foul, just a couple of spots lost.
Yeah, was able to lock the car down and avoid any of the walls. And you see that the number 10 car still continuing on out there. I'm sorry, the number 5 car of Matthew Brewer still on the racetrack. Like you said, just lost a little bit of track position, but no harm, no foul, continues on.
As it stands right now, Hawkins still in 3rd place. 1.5 seconds back from our leader, but about a second back from Harrington. That was our Harrington and Hawkins were the 2 cars that were in a heated battle for the sprint race win just a few moments ago. But right now, they're currently running 2nd and 3rd place. Blake Reynolds, the one who got wrecked out from 3rd place during that sprint race, is your leader after 11 laps. It is the time is quickly going by. It feels like just a few moments ago we were starting it. As it stands, it looks like Ryan Pandicio, who is our first car on medium tires, is going to come down pit road this time by. So 11 laps on those medium tires. Looks like that's the lifespan for Pandicio, or at least that's what he feels is a usable lifespan of those medium compound tires.
And if you look at the race kind of like as a spreadsheet, That's a pretty logical strategy. You're basically doing a slightly shorter stint on the softer compound tires, leaving the harder compound tires for your longer ending stint.
Do you feel like that would mean probably around lap, I don't know, 22, we would see these hard compound tires come down if they're intending to go to the medium compound tires?
I would say, let's say, I mean, if we're looking at 12 laps right here as Ryan Pandisio coming down, let's flip it on its head. I would probably say somewhere around lap 15 to lap 17 is probably where we're going to see the hard compound tires come down.
What tire would you take in that situation? You think they'd go to the medium?
Yes, I would go from the hard to the medium. If I started on the medium like Ryan did, definitely swap on over to that white hard wall.
Well, let's see what he went ahead and swapped to. Looks like, oh, this is really interesting. Ryan Pandisio might be going for a two-stop strategy here, back out on the medium compound tires.
Yeah, I have to look. Yeah, you're right. Yellow tires. So I wonder if Ryan maybe also had some damage that he wanted to come down pit road and get that fixed up. I have to keep an eye on that, but I think one thing we can draw away being lap 12 of 27, we're approaching halfway. The pit stop window definitely open.
Yeah, we'll be keeping an eye out right now for anyone who wants to come down to pit road. Brian Naraki is out of this race. As you see, his lap counters continue to go up. Nicholas Pressey involved in some sort of incident, also out of this race. Jamie Ritchie Price was able to get towed back, get a fast repair, and get that vehicle rolling again. Had a small incident through the boot, but was able to get it going again. So no harm, no foul for Ritchie Price. Currently one lap down in 12th place, although if the sprint race had any sort of indication of how this race may go, I do feel like Ritchie Price, as long as he stays out on track, may make up one or two more positions just through other drivers making a mistake.
I agree with you. He's a very fast driver. He was up at the front of the field at the beginning of the race and also all of the sprint race. So I think you'll see him start to charge back through it, definitely. And one thing I was noticing, Brandon Hawken, after charging through the field, look at this. He's fallen back. He's about 1.2, 1.3 seconds off of this front pair. Now, it's dangerously close to losing the slipstream, but he is there. And I was mentioning it before. These Dallara IR01 cars, you can be finicky with the clutch and save fuel, but you can also abuse that clutch. I've seen the cars actually lose the clutch here. Got to be careful.
Ooh, that's got to be something you got to be careful of. Fortunately, they do have that fast repair to bail them out if they do burn that clutch out, but definitely something you want to avoid if possible.
Never want to deal with problems on the racetrack. Let's listen. I was curious if Brandon Hawken is still saving back there because, like I said, he's right on the touch of that slipstream.
Go ahead and listen right here. Sounds like maybe a little bit, but potentially not as aggressive. No, that sounds like normal shifting right now at the present time. So potentially trying to just get back, close up that gap again before he goes back to fuel saving mode, which he can afford to do with all the fuel saving that he has done. I think we saw so much speed out of Hawken that making up this pace should not be out of the question for him.
I agree with you. I'm all about the data, and you look at the data. He is the fastest car on the track when it comes to lap time. The way he drove through the field, yeah, don't count him out by any means.
He was 0.2 faster than the leader the last time by and 0.4 faster than Harrington directly behind the leader. And you see right now that gap, 1.2 seconds, was just at 1.5, around the same point in the track last lap. So Hawken definitely has the pace and I believe the willpower to make it happen. We'll see if he's going to be able to make anything happen here as you see it continue to go down now, aiming to be below 1 second. There you go, less than a second.
I really think the pit stop window is starting to get more and more wide open. We're past halfway here. I think that if you're going to try to gamble on an undercut, you might be starting to think right about now.
We'll see who might try to plan an undercut, if that's going to be something anyone thinks is going to happen. Currently 14 laps completed, 13 to go. And as it stands, it looks like Hawkins there. He's made up all that space. Just had to push it for a couple of laps, and Hawkins is right back into the picture.
And I'm curious now. We're going to see how aggressive he's going to be with our front two. If the pit stop window is open, and if Hawkins has decided he's saved enough fuel, there's no reason to hang out in third place anymore. So I'm curious, does he continue the fuel save game all the way through the pit stop, or does he go up here and try to pass the two?
Towards the back of the pack, Jake Poulin had an off track, and that allowed Justin Malillo to make his way up to 7th place. And it looks like potentially another issue for Bryce Saucier. It was one driver we were keeping our eye on. He was on the medium compound tires, finally went off track. We'll see if potentially he might have burned those tires up, or if anything happened with that compound, as he is retired from the race session.
And I think it was actually right in front of this pack of leaders right here.
Ooh.
And this is Jake Poulin and Justin Malillo. I noticed they were running together. I believe this is Jake Poulin running off the track, bumps into the guardrail a little bit, but I know these cars are strong. I don't think he got any damage.
Yeah, he'll be okay. He's already actually closed back up to Justin Malillo. And Brandon Hawkins has come down pit road. As we see right there, that's what happened to Bryce Saucier. Brandon Hawkins, all that fuel saving is going to pay off right here. We'll see what his pit stop time ends up being. He's going to come down pit road. We'll see what tire compound he decides to swap to.
He's going to do what is called the undercut strategy. He is stopping short. So what he's going to try is get on the brand new tires, go out there in the clean air, try to pull off a qualifying lap. And while the others come down pit road, hopefully he's already up to speed.
This is a very interesting call. I do not know if this is... It appears... Okay, no, this is just... Sway Black, he is on medium tires, so he has swapped to the medium tires.
Got it. Yes, he has swapped over to the medium tires. And like I said, this is the undercut strategy. And he did do the fuel save, like you mentioned. So combine the one stop shorter also with a less fuel time. We're going to see if it pays off.
Jake Poulin now down on pit road, also swapped to the medium compound tires. And I guess with that new information that swapping tires, Ryan Pandicio swapped to hard compound tires based on the information I'm seeing. So we'll see what else happens here. As Blake Reynolds, our leader, is going to come down pit road, what compound he is going to choose. It looks like medium is the go-to compound right now.
I'm going to be curious to see if Connor Harrington, who's our leader, who's stretching it out another lap, will go to the red tires, given that he's going to have the least amount of laps when he has to come to stop. And here comes the rest of the field. I believe Ben Goyette already on pit road, and this is going to bring the rest of the company. They're going to be running out of fuel if they stay out on the racetrack too much longer.
Jonathan Goke had a speeding penalty on entry, something that you cannot afford to do here. Unfortunately for Goke, he's going to have to serve that penalty. Blake Reynolds swapped to the medium compound tire, and Goyette also on the medium compound tire.
We were talking about the undercut strategy. Well, Brandon Hawkins came in behind Blake Reynolds. Well, he's now 1.2 seconds in front of Blake Reynolds. So it really is all about Connor Harrington, and here he comes down pit road, our leader.
See what Connor Harrington chooses to go on to. Presently on the hard compound tire, has 2 compounds to choose from, 10 laps to go in this race. We'll see what he ends up choosing. And a special thing to note, Jake Poulin currently does have a meatball flag. We'll figure out why exactly that is here in a second, but Harrington is going to come down as we see Jonathan Goke, who had to serve a pit road penalty, just leaves right in front of him.
I mean, Brandon Hawkins is just going to drive right by Connor Harrington. He's already through turn number 1. So this fuel save strategy, sitting behind the 2 leaders, taking less fuel time at the pit stop, wow, it has paid off huge.
Yes, it has. And not to mention, he just set the fastest lap of the race with a 1:15.028 that last lap. That is an absolute blazing speed. As it stands, I think that's faster than pretty much everyone else on track by nearly a second.
Officially, yes, over a second. And I know that it doesn't necessarily count because he did have an off track there. So I don't believe it'll be counted in terms of a fast lap. But you're right. Pretty much plug the afterburners on. Say see you later to the rest of the field.
That is a wild lap time for Hawken. We'll see if he's going to be able to one-up that lap time here as he's on that medium compound tire. Going to be a little bit quicker. One driver did elect to take soft compound tires, and that was Jake Poulin, who did have that meatball flag. We'll figure out what happened there in just a few moments as pit stops seemingly have come to a close. Only one driver who has not come down pit road during that cycle, and that would be Jamie Ritchie Price, but he did have to get towed earlier, so he might have been able to swap his tires then.
Well, Brandon Hawken just said 115.0. Nah, I'll throw down a 114.9. And
wow,
here is another replay. Oh, wow.
Oh,
well,
man.
That one was a little bit different. We usually see it on the exit, not on the entry. Just a little bit too fast coming up out of the boot.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. But yeah, like you said, 114.9. That is faster than everyone by 1.3 seconds. But right now, as it stands, Connor Harrington, the fastest times in Sector 1 and Sector 2, both gone purple. We'll see if Connor Harrington has more speed out of that vehicle. Currently about 3 seconds behind Hawken. But will Harrington be able to close the gap to Hawken? Fastest Sector 3 time for Harrington.
He is a man on fire for sure, trying to draw it back into Blake Reynolds. But the only problem here with Connor is that once he passes Blake Reynolds or catches him, he's still got 2.5 seconds up the road to Hawken.
One thing also, he has that draft from Reynolds, so he might be able to get that speed right now. And that is a 114.3 for Connor Harrington that last lap. Speeds are picking up as fuel load goes down. Speeds are picking up on these fresher compound tires. 7 laps to go. Will Harrington be able to close that gap to Hawken? We'll see.
Got to remember, Connor Harrington was the fastest car in qualifying, the only car that was able to go into the 1 minute 13 second bracket. So yeah, if you're looking for a challenger to potentially go chase down our leader, we're looking at him.
He's closing that gap to Reynolds directly ahead. Reynolds may not want to battle, doesn't want to get involved in any sort of points battle, I'd imagine, but Reynolds is also very prideful in how he finishes. I believe Reynolds may put up a decent... Oh, as Harrington loses it on corner exit. Harrington into the wall. The fastest driver this whole race just hit the wall. He may be okay. No meatball flag as of yet, but certainly a bruised ego.
And I'm riding on board. I see the steering wheel straight. He might have gotten away with one for sure, but oh, and then he has problems right in front of him. He's able to avoid the spinning car. That's the typical issue we see is coming out of the boot. The wheels spin loose.
Harrington is going to come down pit road. Doesn't have a penalty, but is going to go ahead and get service on his vehicle nonetheless. Going to get a faster pair as needed. But right now, that's going to take Harrington out of the picture for the race win. That leaves Reynolds, the only driver within any sort of striking distance of Hawken. But as it's been, Hawken has been our fastest driver yet and is presently in a position to poise and secure himself a championship for the FTF1 series.
You were talking about how fast some of these corners are on this racetrack. Well, the corner that just bit Connor Harrington, our leader's coming up to it. Now, I want to give you guys an example here. Minimum rolling speed through there, 108 miles an hour. By the time you get to the exit, they're already at 140 miles an hour accelerating up out of the hill. The loads that these cars have are tremendous, and when it starts to slide sideways like that, there's not much room to catch it.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. It is so on edge right now. These cars are planted, but as soon as you lose that car, it is so difficult to get back when you're going at speeds in excess of 108 at your min point and almost 200 at your max point.
They're just wicked fast machines, these Dallara IR01 cars, and I just think that they look cool too. I know things have calmed down just a little bit, but it kind of draws back to the days of the good Formula One cars with the low nose and these big, huge, giant tires. It's just a rad looking car.
Yeah, right now it is these cars are so cool. They definitely have a nice old school open wheel look to them, but certainly and sound as well with those massive engines behind, but they are so freaking cool, so freaking fast. We see them going around looking at Connor Harrington, I believe, at the present time, and he is definitely disappointed in himself for that mistake out of the toe of the boot. So that is just an unfortunate thing. We really wanted to see what he had potentially for Hawken. We had such an incredible finish last race, but I do not think we'll be able to repeat that here unless Reynolds can quickly start to find a little bit more pace in his vehicle. He was faster than Hawken that last lap by about 1/10 of a second. We'll see if Reynolds can close the gap.
And if you remember the first stint, Brandon Hawken drove through the field like a madman, the fastest car by far. But then really the last half of the stint, whether it was fuel save or maybe the car just falling off because he had burned it up, he was rather even on pace with our 2-liter. So I wonder, like what you're saying, does maybe Blake Reynolds have something for him here in the final 4 laps?
Yeah, we'll see. Right now, the gap at the line was 2.39 seconds. He was about 0.3 of a second faster than Hawken last lap. So we'll see if he's going to be able to close it. And you can see him in front of him. Reynolds is ahead of, or Hawken is ahead of Reynolds, but it is within viewing distance. As you can see, there is Hawken and there is Reynolds. That gap visually closing. We'll see if Hawken's able to pick it up, or maybe he burned off his tires trying to set a really quick lap and try and maximize on that undercut strategy.
Now I'm looking, I mean, this lap is going to be slower than his previous when I'm talking about our leader. He's tracking about a second slower than his fastest logged lap. Meanwhile, Blake Reynolds continues to log extremely fast laps. Yeah, 0.6 of a second taken out of the lead.
0.6 in one lap with 3 laps to go, 1.8 seconds. Doing the math real quick, if that continues, that means Reynolds may very well be getting to him nearly at the line for the checkered flag. But keep in mind, as he gets closer, he'll be able to get that draft and he'll be able to close the gap even faster.
You're right, that gap will come down at an increased rate. He's just got to stick with him through this technical boot section, and I feel like this is really where Blake Reynolds has been making his time, is through the corners.
Yeah, he was 0.2 of a second faster through Sector 1, even on Sector 2. We'll see as they cross the line here for Sector 3 here shortly, how quick he was through there. 0.3 of a second faster through Sector 3, so he's already cut a half a second into that lead, and it's down to 1.3 seconds at the moment. We'll see if Reynolds is able to close in. 1.3 seconds, that sounds like that's sniffing of draft range.
It is. He is officially there. I'm looking, and Brandon Hawken is going to lay down a lap time very similar to his previous. I think he's actually bleeding it off even slower, a 1:16.4. Meanwhile, Blake Reynolds, 1:15.6. He still continues to close it in. 2 laps to go. He's officially in the draft.
1 second behind is Blake Reynolds from Brandon Hawken. He'll have draft as we go down the backstretch for the second to last time. And right now, as it stands, Reynolds has everything to gain and Hawken has everything to lose. Reynolds trying to secure a win, Hawken trying to secure a championship. Will Hawken try to hold off Reynolds, or will Hawken try to just secure the championship and go into the final race of the year with a comfortable position with the championship already on lock?
I tell you what, Josh, I did not see this coming out of Brandon Hawken. I know that the performance fell off a little bit on his first stint, but wow, Blake Reynolds, he is just charging.
Yeah, right now, as it stands, Hawken is just barely ahead of Reynolds, but right now Reynolds is there. He's definitely within draft distance. I'm curious if Hawken loaded enough fuel, if maybe he's concerned about fuel.
That's exactly what I was just gonna mention as we take white flag, final lap. I wonder if Hawken is in fuel trouble.
This might be the case. as we are going up the S's for one more time. Reynolds has arrived. He is on the back door of Hawken. He is able to go to the outside, side by side down the backstretch.
He gets stalled out with the air. It's like a drag race. They're both doing 193 miles an hour. Can Reynolds hang it out around the outside, still side by side through the carousel?
Enter the boot one more time. Hawken just able to hang on the outside. He's not able to stick it as much as Reynolds is. Reynolds is moving to the lead. Hawken directly behind him. Hawken with the championship in hand and Reynolds with a trophy in hand. Who will be able to get to the line first? Hawken is starting to slip further back, and Reynolds is able to make a move into the boot.
Yeah, and Hawken draws it in a little bit more in the draft, but really right now it's all Blake Reynolds' race to lose. He charges way up front. He was able to hunt down the leader. 2 corners remain.
And with a last lap pass, Blake Reynolds manages to close the gap from 2.8 seconds in just 4 laps. Blake Reynolds will cross the line as your winner, and Brandon Hawken will cross the line as your champion.
Wow, what a finish. That's some way to spray some champagne at the end of this. I did not see that battle coming.
You know, there are 2 very happy drivers right now. Hawken, 7 races to this point to try and get that championship, and he is just happy as can be. I can only imagine what he's feeling. Such an incredible battle with Hamilton Akabueze through the first couple of races of the year. Fortunately, Akabueze unable to make these last 2 races. We'll see Harrington cross the line. One of our other drivers we were expecting to see up there for the winning battle just had an issue towards the end of the race. But Hawken, definitely lots of racing to build up to this moment. I know he's got to be happy with it, and I know Reynolds has got to be happy with that late race drive to win.
Yeah, and I think I saw that Connor Harrington was able to sneak up into the 4th place position after that earlier incident. So not all lost for the driver, the number 93, but I really can't believe that the strategy that Hawken played, and then ultimately it was just the performance of Blake Reynolds to hunt him down at the end.
You got to wonder just how much he took out of those tires to set those really, really fast lap times in the beginning. His fastest lap time recorded looks like it was a 1:14.949. So that was a really quick lap time for Hawken, but by the end of the race, he was finishing at a 1:17.6. So very quick as his tires just bled off at the end of the race, and you can see his teammate right there, Ryan Vendicio, there to celebrate with his teammate.
Always love getting the sweet smell of donuts at the end of these things, and I think it was a little bit of redemption for our winner here in the number 26. Remember, the sprint race didn't go his way. I thought he had a great race, but it didn't end the way he wanted. Definitely changed that here in the feature.
Well, we'll quickly go ahead and catch an interview with our winner. Blake Reynolds is doing burnouts on the front stretch, and he has secured a win in one of the most incredible late race drives. Blake, how did you manage to pull that off?
I managed to pace. I thought I lost it because I knew Hawk had started in the pits. Me and Connor were kind of just racing it out, and then he held station kind of in line there for the second half of the first stint. And then Hawk had pitted a lap before us, and I was like, oh boy, here we go. So then I pitted, and Connor went another lap, came out way behind, and I was like, oh my goodness. But I was looking at the temps on the wheels, like, man, I cannot push these tires. But these guys, Connor, Brandon, I mean, it was like half a second a lap faster than me for the first couple. So I was like, there's no way these tires are going to last. Sure enough, what was it, 5 laps to go, Hawkins' tires started to fall off, and I held good temps and good grip, and I won the race.
You did indeed win the race. As you were chasing him down, was there a concern in your mind of tire fall off, or did you think you had the tires just saved enough that you can make it all the way and pass him at the end?
On Hawkins, yeah. I mean, a whole lap was a lot, it turned out. And maybe he just wasn't paying attention to his temps on the wheel. Yeah, I was pretty confident because I was taking care of him. I wasn't sliding anywhere. I wasn't really scrubbing the fronts. The hards, you could definitely push harder. and luckily I had clean air out front, so I kind of knew what it felt like. And then I caught up to him, and I just made sure not to overdrive the corner, and got the mega suck down the straightaway, and then held around the outside of the carousel to get by him there. It was fun.
Well, there you go. Blake Reynolds, our winner, on a phenomenal last couple of lap race to the win, was able to get that, secure the podium, the first place in our podium position. Congratulations, Blake.
Thank you.
That is Blake Reynolds, our winner, but we're going to go ahead and catch up with our champion. Joey's caught up with him.
Brandon, yeah, champion here. How does it feel?
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, so thank you. Yeah, it's good. Man, I wish Hamilton could have made it the last two races, but man, we had such a like an entire season long fight there for the top spot, and I just want to say great job from him all season. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it, but man, I'm happy with that. I was, man, yeah, those two races were pretty crazy. First one had an awesome battle there with Connor. Really great stuff with him, and I tried to take him on the outside there before one to go, just to try and get him out of my draft. I wanted to kind of mess him up a little bit coming onto the last lap, but he still had the draft, made that move around the outside. That was so much fun. And second race, I accidentally I was contemplating which tires I should choose at the start, and I accidentally gridded thinking the first session was practice, but it was actually qualifying. So I had already gridded, and then I was looking on the counter and it said 16 seconds, but since I had already gridded, it just counted me as already on the grid, so it started without me. And so that was a lot of fun trying to get back up there. And really great stuff there with Connor and Blake. And I came in a lap early just to try to get the jump, which worked initially, but towards the end of the race, my front tires were just gone, and Blake was creeping up on me really quickly there the last few laps, and I wish I could have held him off, but I couldn't do anything. But man, great race from him. I'll take 2 seconds, and surprised me that I'm the champion. So that's really cool. So thank you guys.
Yeah, it was a great night of racing for you, for sure, all the way up at the front of the pack. We heard from our winner, it really came down to managing the tires. Is that where you felt that you maybe fell a little short tonight?
I think a little bit, yeah. I was definitely like trying to get the gap, because I didn't want Blake to have any of my draft there, and so yeah, once you get out of that like 1.8, 2.1 second range, you're pretty much clear to go. So that's what I was trying to do, and the medium tire as well. Once it starts falling off, it falls off quick, and even like a 1 lap difference, it's like it'll be good there from the beginning to the middle of the run, and then towards the end, the pace just like dies. So I was he had a little bit fresher tires there, and I was just doing all I could to hold on, but it wasn't quite enough.
Well, a pair of good finishes, some good qualifying results as well, and the big trophy to take home. Brandon, congratulations one more time.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thanks to Modern Racing Prince for everything they've done for the series. FTF, this is it's been a really great series to run. So I'm of course it's not over yet. So or at least I don't think. I don't know how many races are left, but anyway, if we have more races, I'm like super excited to race those, and if not, it's been a really great season, and just been a ton of fun racing with everybody, and it's been some good stuff.
Well, that is one happy racing driver, the driver of the number 12, coming home second place today, but the champion, Brandon Hawken.
That's awesome. Good for Brandon. And we're going to go ahead and catch up with Ben Goyette real quick, our third place finisher. Ben Goyette finishes third place here and manages to secure a podium. Ben, how does it feel?
Yeah, it feels amazing. I think it's the first podium for me and the team, so I'm pretty stoked about it. It's a good way to rebound from the disaster I had in the sprint race. So I'm pretty stoked about it. Had a decent qualifying, and then was able to stay in the draft of the leaders. in the early part of the race, but then tires started to drop off really quickly on me. So I had a hard time staying with them, and then I just decided to manage the tires. And yeah, after the pit stop, I had a big gap to the guys behind, and I was scared that my tires would not last on the medium. So I just saved my tires and managed the gap as much as I could. And yeah, pretty stoked for the team for the podium. And yeah, really good race.
Now we saw that you were able to pass Connor Harrington when you saw that Harrington had gone off track and the opportunity for a podium was there. What was going through your mind at that moment?
Yeah, I don't know. It's he had the pace, so he had the pace on me. So I don't know what happened to him, and yeah, I was a bit surprised to get back into third place ahead of him. So yeah, I was surprised.
There you go. Will we see you next week for the FTF.GG 500 at Auto Club?
I don't know. I think MRP is gonna be the team is gonna be at Indianapolis Raceway. We're gonna go check out their real race at Indianapolis, the IndyCar and NASCAR. So I think me and Matthew are gonna be MIA probably next week because of that.
Well, there you go. Have fun at the real race. Congratulations on the podium finish for Ben Goyette and MRP. That is real exciting. We're excited for you.
All right, thanks guys.
That's Ben Goyette, our third place finisher. And Joey, any final thoughts as we look forward to the FTF.GG 500 at Auto Club in 2 weeks' time on August 18th? Any final thoughts as we leave Watkins Glen?
I think no matter when you put these cars on the racetrack, it produces some incredible action. We saw it today here between the two different races on the two different styles of Watkins Glen. So I think going to Auto Club, it's going to be an intense race, even though Brandon Hawkins already standing on top. Can't wait to see who ends up in victory lane.
Absolutely, and that is something we'll keep our eyes on. As the championship is all buttoned up for first place, but still a lot of mid-pack battles. We'll see how that is going to go ahead and get all sorted as we have 50 points for first place in just a few weeks' time. I'm Josh Mendoza, joined by Joey Atterbury, Zach Johnson behind the controls. We'll say a bid you adieu from Watkins Glen International here in upstate New York. Thank you for watching the ModernRacingPrince.com FTF1 series. Good night.